Hello, everyone. Todd and Andrew here. Episode 6. It's our final episode here. It's been a great time for us. Thank you for tolerating our amateur videos, but it's been fun for us. I think it's been fun for a lot of you. At least we were able to sort of keep in contact with you, even if by video, and still talk about the wines with a little history without being too serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's been a nice escape for us. Something for us to look forward to every week. Putting these videos together, putting a fun little spin on every week for a preview and a trailer. We've gotten some great remarks and comments from a number of you who have kept up with this. So thank you. It's been great to be in touch throughout this quarantine. It's been a lot of fun to show the property to people who have never seen it, see some of the behind the scenes, and talk about naming conventions. So yeah, it's been a little bit of things that you've been familiar with the wine, but it's been a lot of fun to introduce you to some new things as well. So thanks for joining in, and we've got one final one to share with you today.
So it's Septenary's 2015 Manor Reserve blend. So here we are in the main house to do that. Interesting timing here in the fact that we're finally open in the tasting room again. So it feels like we should be ending this series and moving on to seeing you all in person. So let's go ahead and drink the Manor Reserve.
All right, so this is one, so far, what we've been able to do with this, we've had a lot of fun with this one so far. It's one that maybe most of you have not heard of, and for good reason. It is a reserve. So we actually first introduced this to our wine club members last February on a beautiful Groundhog Day. This is a wine that we had bottled, and those of us behind the scenes, we knew it was aging, but we kind of kept it a secret for a number of years, honestly. And so then when Groundhog Day rolled around, Todd had the fantastic idea to tease it out, release it for a day to our wine club members, taste it, see how it is, see if it would see its shadow or not, and be released. That first year, we actually decided to go ahead and put it back, age it for another year, and we released it again this past February, did another tasting out on the front porch, and it was ready to go. It's really beautiful. We can't wait to share it with you. So grab your glass. Hopefully you've spent a little time and been able to put it in a decanter, let it open up, breathe. So snag your glass and let's start talking about Manor Reserve.
And there's no accident here that this was already decanted. This is one you want to let decant for a while. It's a nice wine, and the more oxygen you bring into it, the better it's going to be.
Yep, absolutely. So final episode. This one is definitely going to be our biggest, boldest, fullest, most complex Bordeaux style blend. So when we look at the blend breakdown, it's a blend of the four main Bordeaux varietals again: Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. When we compare it to the wine we just had last week, the 2015 Coleman, you're going to notice a pretty similar blending breakdown. You want to tell them a little bit how we got to that?
Sure. So this was interesting. We had the Septenary Coleman blend, the 2015 that we tasted last week, if you will. That's about 33% Merlot, 27% Cab Franc, 20 of Cab Sauv and Petit Verdot. This is very similar with a little bit of a tweak to the Petit Verdot, a tiny bit more Petit Verdot, and a little bit more Cab Sauv as well. But the way this blend came about is our winemaker, Sebastian and James at the time, they were playing with the Coleman 2015 blend, and they were doing all the barrel tastings. And remember, we use probably 5 coopers, sometimes 6 coopers anytime we put together a barrel program on our red wines. And they were tasting through a couple of the barrels and found that this wine responded remarkably well to a couple of the higher end barrels. So I happened to be traveling through Virginia at the time, and they called me up, and we sat down and tasted this wine and decided we would break apart the Septenary Coleman blend and create this new wine that we decided to call the Manor Reserve. and it was remarkable at the time. And even now, there's a tremendous difference, I think, between the two wines, and with essentially the same blend, slight tweak, and yet just different barrels and different management style from a winemaking standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. Throw your nose in that glass, take in those aromatics. So right away, to me, I think just aromatically, I think you can smell the depth of this wine. I think, certainly some similarities to that Coleman 15. I think the Coleman 15 blend, I think that one was a little bit smokier. I think that the Merlot stands out a little bit more prominently in that, whereas this, those darker fruit notes, more violet kind of, this darker floral note really sticks out, largely from that Cab Sauv and from the Petit Verdot. So yeah, initially you just get, you can sense it's a little bit fuller structure on the nose. And then as you move on to the palate, take a nice little sip here. Yeah, you just get that nice, really deep red fruit note to it. Really balanced structure, which, again, largely comes from those higher end, more select barrels. We talk a lot about our barrel program, and when I think of how the barrel impacts the wine, looking at the reds that we produce, the different coopers that we use have a very big impact on the profiles of the wine. You're thinking about Carriage House, it's brighter, a little more expressive, and those are from specific barrels, quite often the TSO barrels. We still like that influence when we're making a fuller, more complex red, but every year is a little bit different too, in terms of the quality of the fruit and how the fruit responds to the oak. So when the blending process of the Coleman 2015 blend, tasting through those specific barrels, it's no surprise. It's evident in this glass that there were some of those higher end barrels that really just kind of took the fruit and ran. Honestly, just really settled it down a little bit more and produced this really nice complex red.
And the concept with our barrel program is to use the French oak to achieve what we believe to be is a little bit lighter touch on the wine. And so as you taste this wine, you can sort of tell there's a nice light touch. There's a richness, a velvety flavor here. It doesn't feel overly oaked, and yet it's got that really nice mouthfeel to it. You called it, nicely balanced. It's integrated.
Yep.
All the flavors kind of come together on this with a nice finish. You've got enough tannins to stand up, and yet they don't overwhelm your palate at all. Nice one.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking tannins and the acidic structure and alcohol on this, again, letting this open up and breathe, it really starts to deepen a little bit more. Tasting this, if you're patient, I think this one will continue to age incredibly well. I mentioned we teased this out back in 2018, 2019? When was the first
18.
18, when we first teased it out to Wine Club. And we could sense from there that it needed a little more time. When we decided to roll it out this time, it was ready, but tasting it, I think you can see that it still has some aging capability and some aging power as well.
Quick edit, it was 2019.
19, yeah.
And then 2020 is when we finally
Did the full
released it.
release.
Yes.
Got it.
It's these last 3 months that we've been through that seamless.
Exactly.
So, naming convention. So with the naming here, it's probably pretty obvious. This is what we consider to be our premium wine. So we went with the namesake of the property, which is the Manor home here, and so that's where it stuck. This introduced the Manor line to the septenary blends, and we'll stick with this one as our premium Bordeaux style blend.
Sure. I like it. If you're looking to pair this with something, probably something a leaner protein suggestions.
Yeah. So last time, interesting, right? On the Coleman blend, I said, boy, I don't know that I'd go with a big red meat. This isn't lamb chops or prime rib.
Yeah.
But this is a lean red meat with a rich sauce to it, maybe a filet mignon with a nice buttery sauce, or something cheesy side dishes. Again, rich buttery sauces that would just pair nicely with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Did we miss anything? Does that about cover it?
No, I don't think so.
Phil, are we good? Did we cover all the aspects? Okay.
I think we're good.
I think Phil agrees that this was a good note to end on. So, again, thanks for joining us on this journey. Maybe this will become a regular feature where we host some things like this.
Not a regular quarantine, but maybe maybe every once in a while we can do another video. It's been fun for us. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.